Okay, we are here in our first New Venture Escrow YouTube video. We are excited in our Orange County studio, and I'm here with Christopher for our very first sit-down talk.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Kickoff.
Christopher, look, you are our largest escrow unit in the company, and we have this group of folks that have been with me forever, and everybody's wants to know everything. So this is going to be really interesting. If to no one else, definitely to our team. Can you tell us a little bit about background about how you got into the industry and how you ended up here?
Sure. So it's actually 24 years ago in September. Don't know the exact date, but I started in escrow, answering phones at a small broker-owned company here in Laguna Hills. Before that, I had been an insurance underwriter. Super boring, but very technical. So my transition from the insurance underwriting world into real estate was pretty seamless as far as the technical aspect. But yeah, I started answering phones. Shortly thereafter, I got promoted to an escrow assistant, and then I just took off from there. I think within 8 months, I was running my own desk.
Wow.
Yeah, the escrow officer I was working for, unfortunately, had to take medical leave. And I was kind of, like most escrow people are, thrown to the wolves and left to figure things out.
So like everybody, you started just you went to you went to college for escrow, right? Yeah, everybody goes
trade school. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, everybody always. How did you end up in escrow? And it's like, well, just the most random story. And then a lot of people started at the front and worked their way up.
No one says they wanted this job, but it's one that I felt like once I landed in it, and I took to it as it took to me. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
So tell me some of the things that you really enjoy about escrow. So you've been in 24 years this month. What are some of the things that maybe people don't know about escrow that are enjoyable from where you sit?
From an outsider's perspective, I think there's a lot of nuances about escrow that, for me, I'm very technical. So very type A, monitor every detail. And to be a successful officer, you need to have that kind of quality first and foremost. So the technical aspect is something that really speaks to me. But there's another side, and I've liked using the analogy art and science. So the science of escrow is very technical. The art of escrow is the creative aspect. So, I do my own marketing and social media content. I try to bring value to agents and buyers and sellers through some of my postings of educational content. And just the way we present escrow to the masses, everyone can do it. It's the same A to Z process, but how you get there can be fun or it can not be fun.
Yeah.
And I try to make it fun.
That's awesome. We talked a little bit about that last year when we moved one of our color palettes. We added black, and we thought, you know what? The certain part of escrow that's very black and white, the debits and the credits, that's not changing. How you account to get to the net proceeds has been the way that it's been for a number of years, and it's going to be that way for a number of years, right? It's like how much
that doesn't change.
That's not changing. But what does change is how you experience an escrow or what value you provide to agents and consumers. When you think about that, and it's interesting that you say that there's the technical side of managing the details, but there's also the kind of that marketing side. How do you manage your time with so many different things going on?
My saving grace is time blocking. I think it's critical for me as an escrow officer. There's the technical side of what I need to do. And a lot of people will say that the artistic side or the marketing side is kind of if I have time, I'll get to it. I've never made that excuse. Like, to me, they're equally as important. So making the time and setting aside blocks of time where I know I'm going to be my most productive first thing in the morning, and I'll attack my most critical tasks to give myself the freedom to do the things that I still need to do, but might not be as important as closing out that deal or balancing the file or getting the deal funded. Again, all critical components to what I feel my responsibilities are to myself and my team and my branch and my company. But yeah, just a matter of setting aside the time and making it happen.
You have a team, and with team, those are at least up until this point, it's not robots. We have people, we have personalities. Walk me through, when you talk about managing a lot of different things, both on the escrow side, but also on the marketing side. How do you manage your team to get the most from your entire unit, but also with so many different people and personalities to deliver a, standardized service so people know what they can expect?
I do my best to replicate myself in my team, and I empower them to do their absolute best. So obviously it starts at recruiting and picking the right people. And sometimes that means picking someone who has zero experience in escrow. Some of my strongest teammates have been people that have come from outside the industry, but share those initial qualities that I came into the escrow industry with, like when I started in insurance or transitioned from insurance. So if you have the basics, the nuts and bolts of it, I can put the rest of it together. I can show you the way. I have systems and organizational tools and coaching ability to show them like, hey, this is the way we like to communicate, and this is the why of how we communicate the way we do.
Yeah.
So putting all that together is super critical to have a successful team. When I joined New Venture, I had to start almost from scratch, and I'm very thankful to say that my proven method where I've been previously has more than taken off here. So
Yeah.
I've gotten the right teammates in play, and it's been an exceptional 8 months.
Yeah,
It's been 8 months. Already.
8 months. I can't even believe it. Yeah, you definitely hit the ground running, and you definitely rebuilt a team in a short amount of time because the business doesn't. If you have a good reputation, you do a good job. The business doesn't stop, and so you have to kind of work through some of that. Now, I guess that brings me to another point. When you do have these relationships with agents and you are scaling your business, what are things that you hear maybe similarly through with different agents on what they want out of an escrow? What are certain things that either you do or industry-wide the agents like, I've got to have this, and this is critical to a successful escrow for me?
Sure. I think the highest quality that I hear of is accessibility and communication. They want to be able to reach your escrow officer anytime, day or night, and they want you to be responsive to them, which is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Communication is such a cornerstone to the success of, I think, any business, any relationship, be it personal or professional.
Right.
So that is probably the biggest quality. Aside from that, my focus has always been to provide the agents a quality that is trying to take as much off of their plate, like where they don't have to monitor me. And one of the biggest compliments I seem to get is when I give you an escrow, I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
And that frees up my agent partners to be able to take the time that they're having to micromanage their vendors, their real estate transaction coordinators, their escrow officers, their lenders, whatever. They can take that time and put it into farming or client management and developing more relationships that bring us all more business.
Yeah.
So I would say both the communication aspect and just taking as much off their plate as I can.
Yeah, when agents are in the the commission-only business, right? That when they do pass a deal over to escrow, we have a responsibility to the consumer and the agent to make sure we close, but we want to close with a 5-star referral, right?
Yeah.
And to do that, communication is key, executing on time, and making sure that the agent doesn't feel that they have to handhold all the way through, I think is really, that's a key point. Yeah, because we're paid from executed contracts. Agents get us executed contracts. They can do more of those if we do a good job on the escrow side with their clients. Yeah. Definitely. Well, one thing that's been interesting as you know, I've gotten a chance to work more together is I come in this office and you're on the phone a lot. I think that's such a lost art. Can you, and I see it from even myself where I'm like, oh, I could just text or, oh, I could just email. And so I'm guilty of this. How do you, I'm going to ask it a different way, and maybe a more complicated way, and you don't have to answer it. You can answer whatever. You can be a politician. You can answer it however you want. But how do you mentally, every day, whatever's going on in your life, show up and be able to talk on the phone and in a way where it's customer friendly, it's agent friendly in the customer service world? How do you mentally think about that? And maybe when you're not having your best day, or you got pulled over on your way to work, or just there's a lot of stuff that comes up, and you're on the phone a lot. And I respect that about you. It's one of the things that I find to be awe-inspiring is how busy you are, how you have attention to detail, but also you pick up the phone all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how you think about that.
Well, it goes back to the conversation we were just talking about, where agents, we want to take care of the agents. The agents want to be taken care of so they can do more business. The business comes back to us. It's like a reciprocal relationship.
Yeah.
And the best referral an agent can get is from their client, their buyer, their seller. And taking care of their buyer or seller is my mission number one. So it's critical for me to offer support by personally picking up the phone. It is a lost art. So much is lost in translation over an email or through text. You can't evoke emotion. You can't gauge someone's curiosity or concern in the tone of their voice. Especially in today's day and age of wire fraud, it is not even a question whether I pick up the phone and speak with a buyer, first and foremost. My job is to protect the client's funds and information, and if I'm taking the lazy way out and just like, here's wiring instructions, figure out how to get to them. No, I want to guide people, and I've been able to help thwart several instances, including one very recently, where a client was hacked and they were getting a phishing email.
Yeah.
And that phishing email caught the mind of the client because I had been on the phone with them and I had told them, beware of these types of attacks. And they're like, Christopher said this. The husband called me and he was like, thank you so much, because I would have wired the funds. And he's like, if it wasn't for my wife, So it's those things, strung together with everything else I discussed, that really kind of pushed me to be on the phone. I give two shits, pardon my French, about like what my day is like. As long as the client experience is good and I hang up the phone knowing that the client is taken care of, that their question was answered, and that they know what the next steps are, I'm good.
I love that. We all need to learn from that. The communication is key in any relationship. I think that's a really good point. What are some ways that you approach bad news or things that they're outside of your control?
Yeah.
But you have to. I don't want to speak for you, but at least I deal with bad news or things that may be uncomfortable. So when you're talking about communication, it's so easy to be like, bad news, I just kind of want to text. I don't really want. So for all of the reasons that you can come up or create in your head, but sometimes you have to call a buyer or seller with news because you're that neutral third party.
Yeah.
How do you, one, handle that? And how do you, two, maybe take some of that pressure off of the agent to where you can be that neutral third party and handle certain things for them, so the agent can still look like the shining star at the end of the transaction?
I had a perfect example of this that just occurred. So we have a challenging situation where a seller needed to jump through some hoops to get their deal closed, and they found out that their ID was expired. So it was creating a solution that the agent could present on the agent's behalf to make them look like the superhero to get it done. How I like to communicate is, again, I look at it as how I want to be communicated to. And for me, I don't want to receive bad news by email or a text. I would rather have an in-person conversation. Anytime I've had to deliver bad news or a challenging circumstance, I also like to approach it with a solution-based bookend. Hey, this is going on. However, these are the 2 or 3 things I would suggest on how we move forward. So it becomes more of a collaborative experience rather than I'm dropping some bad news at your door. I think that's the best, for me, that's been the best way to deliver the news and overcome the challenges. And that's mainly what our jobs are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. I also think too, and maybe correct me if you think otherwise, but delivering bad news in a timely fashion, so we're not sitting on something, and where people have an opportunity so we can work through to find solutions, whether it be together or otherwise. But sometimes people sit on it because they're just so nervous about delivering any sort of news or bad news. Yeah, you gotta address it, especially when we're on certain time frames and time crunches. So we've talked a lot about escrow. Give me some ideas as to maybe how you ended up choosing New Venture. What were some of the things that were like big parts of the decision for you?
Sure. That's exciting to me. For me, being in escrow and starting at the company that I initially started at, I had no sales rep, I had no support. And as I moved through my career, I moved to companies that had some semblance of those things. In order for me to feel that I was doing my best for my clients and to help take control of my own career, I supplemented what was missing in a lot of ways. So I created my own services. I created my own value adds that drove me to a different place, separated me from the pack, so to speak. So when you started reaching out to me and I was doing my due diligence and kind of watching from afar, I noticed that a lot of the things that I already did, you were doing and doing them sometimes even better, and even offering additional support and ideas that I hadn't even thought of. That kind of synergy created like an excitement within me, because I was like, this is a forward-thinking company, tech-driven, marketing-driven, and there's not a lot of players out there that are kind of thinking the way that we are thinking.
Yeah.
And it really excited me to be a partner here.
Awesome. I think for the way I look at the industry is that we're in a slow-moving industry from a innovation and development standpoint. And whenever I see an industry like that, it makes me really excited, because I'm like, okay, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but
There's ways.
if you think about things creatively and you kind of iterate over and over, you can, every now and again, you can get these really good ideas that if you implement, you're going to be a lot further along than a lot of our competitors. And I think it's been fun to work together to see how what we do well and what you do well, how that partnership really has been something that has inspired me. It's motivating to me. You and I have talked about this off camera, but it's been fun to see someone run an office and run a unit in such a caring way to the people, but also to the agents and the consumer, where it is universal that you're going to do a good job, but also that you're going to give forth an effort that I don't think a lot of people understand how much work goes into one escrow.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and not every escrow is the same, and not every escrow officer is the same. And so I just appreciate you and appreciate your work and then the things that you've brought into the table that I just, again, only knowing each other through sitting down in the recruiting process, you don't know until you start working together.
Right.
And it's very, very impressive.
Well, it could be the opposite, right? So I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing okay by you, all right.
Let me ask, I got to ask at least one personal question, but tell us a little bit about the person. So outside of work, tell me a little bit about you, so people that are watching can say, you know what, I work with Christopher. I didn't know that, or at least give some background as far as who you are and maybe some things outside of work.
Sure. Well, social media will dispel all of those myths, because I'm very open about like what I do and what I enjoy. But I love my family. I love spending time with my family. We love to travel. We're going to Kauai probably for the 9th time in 10 years. Kind of our hot spot.
That's cool.
Yeah, we love going there. I love to take drives. It's kind of my way to disconnect from the chaos of like what escrow is. So I literally take a drive every week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it the same driver, different
No.
driver? Okay.
Sometimes I'll drive out to LA and grab a sandwich at a Instagrammable
spot. I did see that actually. That looks really, really good.
Or I'll go to San Diego and walk around Balboa Park, or cruise through, or take a highway and ramp up the engine. And
yeah, nice.
But yeah, it's my way to kind of disconnect and really zone out for a bit. But I'm a simple guy. I love food, I love drinks, I love cars, and I love my family. That's pretty much all. That's pretty much all I got to offer.
That's good. Well, that's a lot. Well, thank you. This has been a great sit down. This is our first YouTube video, so I hope it turned out good, and I hope somebody found some good, useful information in it. And Christopher, thank you for being the guinea pig here and having a conversation with us and sharing some of the secrets, because you are, by volume and numbers and the units closed, one of the biggest escrow units, if not the biggest escrow unit on the West Coast. And so, yeah, that's
awesome. I appreciate the support. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Christopher. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great.